Welcome to this edition of Northwest Real Estate Forum. I'm your host, Patricia Wangsness. Our passion is to help you understand the art, science, and timing of real estate by bringing you relevant topics and experts with up-to-date information that impact your biggest asset, your home. David, my partner both in and out of the real estate world, is joining me today to discuss a couple of the disastrous mistakes sellers make that prevent them from getting the price they want for their home. Recently, you and I have had a couple of deals where the sellers made some mistakes when they put their house on the market that severely impacted the amount of money that they'd be able to get for their home. So I wanted to share those mistakes with our sellers that are watching to prevent that happening to them.
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes a seller can make is not taking care of their home as far as some of the maintenance type of issues. When a client or a potential buyer drives up to the house, you want them to get out of the car. You want to have the curb appeal to the house look really good. Things like the lawn being mowed, trimmed, edged, and new bark. Gutters need to be cleaned, windows need to be washed, and so that it needs to look trim and neat.
We've said more than once, if they don't get out of the car, they're not going to buy the house.
Right.
So the roof and all of those gutters, just to make the house appear that it's been maintained.
Exactly.
Then once they get out of the house, when they go in, they have to make sure.
There are other issues inside the house as well. You want to declutter the house. You don't want to have too much furniture. You want to have all the caulking that needs to be done or replaced done in the bathrooms and in the kitchens. You don't want cracked tiles and that sort of thing. The perception of a buyer when a house is not maintained, even superficially or cosmetically, they perceive that the house is not maintained. What else is wrong with the house?
Right. So we had a recent experience where it was $1 million plus house, and the buyer went out and looked around, and there was some paint chipping on the windows, and the windows were fogged. And they really felt that if a house of that price point wasn't maintained, even with windows, that it impacted the seller. Boy, what else was there that they would look at? And they made It was almost an insultingly low offer. Yeah.
And what it resulted in is the selling broker or the listing broker had requested that some of this work be done prior to putting it on the market, and they didn't do that. So their first real offer was a very low ball offer because they felt the house was not maintained. Well, the result was the seller did take the house off the market temporarily and did perform or in the process of performing the work that was requested to be done. But now the perception is there may be other things wrong with the house, and so the buyer moved on.
Right. So even if you own your home and you've lived with certain conditions, when you go to put it on the market, it has to be absolutely spick and span and spectacular looking for a brand new set of eyes. Okay, the next big problem is the Form 17, which is a national disclosure, and every buyer gets to see what problems or perceived issues have been in the house, the history of the house.
Yes, and one of the most important things that a lot of sellers do not understand is that the Form 17, the disclosure form, must be filled out in its entirety. It must be complete. If you truly do not know a portion of what is being asked, then you should check you don't know. But don't leave anything blank. The problem becomes if something is brought up that was not on the Form 17 that should have been, then the buyer has the right to have it changed and look at it again and has the additional 3 days, even though they have waived it to begin with.
They could actually walk away from a deal if they discover new information that the seller now has to disclose. So if you have, this is a pretty technical portion, but in the heat of the deal, it might be very important. So our advice to a seller is completely fill out the Form 17.
Absolutely.
So the last deal that we've come across where the seller didn't negotiate in good faith. Many buyers right now are making insultingly low offers, and
well, I think that's buyers are very aggressive right now still. They still think, some of them, that the market is coming down, so they're going to not want to pay too much for the house. And what we try to tell our sellers is always try to counter no matter what the offer is. Make it more of a business decision, even though you have emotional attachment. You may have raised your family and had all kinds of fond memories in the house. You really do need to treat it as a business decision.
Yeah, it's time you want to move on with your life. So you may not get the price that you want for your home, or the deal may not be as perfect as you would like, but it is the deal. So let's try to make it the best we can and then move on.
Yeah, the seller needs to be aware of the fact that it doesn't really matter what they need for the price of a house or what they've done to the house in the past for improvements. The market makes the market. We analyze the numbers and let them know where things are selling and what brackets they can ask for. So they need to be understanding, not be insulted.
Okay. Thanks very much, David.
It's a pleasure to be here again.
And thank you for watching this edition of Northwest Real Estate Forum. Whether you are buying, selling, or sitting on the sidelines, keep watching for important information on topics that are impacting your biggest asset, your home. For more information on this and our other shows, please visit us at northwestrealestateforum.com. Get your free copy of the National Association of Realtors 2010 profile on home buyers and sellers. This in-depth report tells you who's buying and selling across the United States and why. I'm your host, Patricia Wangsness. See you next time.